Hey dudes, CI here. I have a movie to tell you about. When I was looking for photos for my flight versus invisibility video, I ran across this picture and I was like, what is this? It's a movie about an invisible super... I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard of it because no one has ever heard of this movie. But I was intrigued by the picture, so I watched it and it is utterly delightful. Everyone needs to see Griff the Invisible. Let me tell you about it. It's Australian, which might explain why it's so obscure. It's about this... What do I want to say? It's just utterly charming because you think it's about a superhero, and it's not. It's about this guy who's like really socially awkward, very odd dude, kind of in an autistic kind of way. And he gets bullied, even as an adult at work, he gets bullied. And then at night, he appears to be sort of a superhero. Except you're not entirely sure if he really is a superhero or if it's all make-believe. You can't really tell. But you just know he's weird and doesn't fit in at all in the real world. And then his brother comes around with this new woman he's dating. And she is also very awkward and doesn't quite fit in. And as soon as she meets Griff, she's like, oh, he's like me. And then this kind of weird, awkward romance develops. Except it's all one-sided because he's afraid of her. And she's like, this is my guy. He's weird too. And it's so delightful. It is so charming. It's like my new favorite movie. I've watched it like 3 times in the last week. I'm not exaggerating. I love the fact that it's about 2 very odd, almost broken people. They just don't fit in at all. They can't do anything right. And yet they find each other. And slowly over time, it kind of works. I like the fact that they don't make it all sexy. They don't make them all beautiful and sexy. I mean, the actors they are good looking, but they're not overly good looking. They're not overly sexy. They're weird and awkward, and at times it's just the most charming thing. I think there's a real charm and power to watching broken people who can't do things normally, and yet with each other they do. It works with each other. I think that is utterly charming. It reminds me of that book I told you I loved so much, Ove. He was not right. He didn't work in the real world, and yet somehow other people seem to work around him. There's also this book I read. I can't remember if I told you guys about it. It was called The Rosie Project. And it was about another dude who was very autistic and very strange and somehow managed to find love through it. But not easily, because nothing comes easy to this guy. Nothing comes easy to broken people, and yet sometimes, despite their brokenness, they can figure it out. That's what happened in The Rosie Project. That's what happened in Ove. And that's what happened in Griff the Invisible. I don't know if anybody has seen this movie, but I have. I've seen it 3 times in the last week. It's delightful, and I highly recommend it to you. I'm so glad I found it, and I'm so glad that quirky, little, charming little things like this exist in the world. That's it for me, guys. I'll see you next week.